Rocco Magnotta a targeted individual? For you, those of you who haven't heard of Luka Rocco Magnotta, he was like a model, and he killed a guy, a Chinese guy, and mailed his body parts across the country in Canada. He did some pretty nasty stuff. Anyway, this video here is asking the question, was he targeted by the government? And I'm saying he was, and I'm going to show you the proof right now, okay? So I'm going to read to you here. Now, this is from the CBC website. Luka Magnotta heard voices, felt he was being watched, doctors testify. Now, hearing voices is V2K, voice to skull, and being watched is gang stalking. Let's see. Listen to this, too. Luka Magnotta is charged with 5 offenses, including first-degree murder connected to the death of 33-year-old university student Jun Lin. 33 as in 33rd-degree Mason? No, that's something strange right there. The victim was 33, Nationwide News. The forensic psychiatrist who has treated Luka Magnotta since his detention for the killing of Jun Lin says the accused has a fragile personality, complains of hearing voices, and fears others are out to harm him. So he's hearing voices, that's V2K. But Dr. Rene Roy, who has met with Magnotta on a regular basis at the Rivière des Prairies Detention Center since November 2012, wrote in January of last year that it's difficult to pinpoint an exact diagnosis, despite the accused's history of psychiatric problems. So he's having trouble diagnosing this guy because he's being targeted by microwave weapons. The psychiatrist, who has never spoken to Magnotta about the charges against him, said in the months following the killing, the accused heard voices disparaging him. But after consistent therapy sessions, he was able to keep auditory hallucinations in check by listening to music. So he drowned out the voices with louder noise. Magnotta believes he's constantly being observed on cameras, she said, even convincing himself that a new staff member at the detention center was sent to harm him and that cellmates were talking behind his back. While Magnotta did not reveal suicidal thoughts in the meetings, he did tell the psychiatrist he hated his life and didn't understand why he was born. Well, who the fuck wouldn't hate your life being stuck in jail? I mean, that sounds normal. Roy testified that Magnotta, who was taking antidepressants, among other medications, did not often show emotion and spoke in a monotonous voice, particularly when they first met, but says he is capable of showing sadness at times. He even expressed a wish to write a letter to Lin's mother saying he was sorry. Roy, who Magnotta authorized to break physician-patient privilege, will continue her testimony Tuesday morning. It says, now listen to this. A family doctor who treated Magnotta sporadically for 6 years in Toronto said the accused also complained to him of hearing voices and of the feeling he was being stalked. That sounds like a targeted individual to me. Gang stalked, hearing voices, V2K, microwave weapons. Dr. Alan Tan told the first-degree murder trial Monday morning that he saw the accused more than a dozen times from 2003 to 2009 at different clinics. Tan, in referrals for a new psychiatrist, described Magnotta as a man with long-standing history of paranoid schizophrenia. Now, that's exactly what they do to targeted individuals. When they're gang stalked and they do the V2K on them, they're automatically, they diagnose them with some sort of, paranoid schizophrenia or delusional, whatever. Anyway, if you've never heard about any of this stuff before, if you're new to watching my videos, go watch my, which is it? Go watch the playlist, Target Individuals Gang Stalking, and you're going to learn a lot of stuff. Now it says, Magnotta first told Tan he began hearing voices in mid-2004, but it got worse. Tan said Magnotta came to see him on March 8th, 2005, complaining of hearing voices that he tried to drown out by blasting the radio. Magnotta said one of the voices told him he was walking like an ape. So the guys at, this is all happening in Canada. And Canadian Forces Station Leitrim is who targets everybody with microwaves. So, the people there were telling me he was walking like an ape. They were just screwing with him. It says he also told Tan he felt he was being followed by people who were trying to photograph him and post the pictures online to ruin his modeling career. So they were gang stalking him. It says, according to Tan, Magnotta kept his curtains closed because he was worried he was being watched, gang stalked. Tan noted Magnotta's sense of being stalked was still present in a follow-up visit 2 months later. Of course, when the gang stalking starts, it doesn't stop. Not all the time. It says, Magnotta said that people were still following him. That's why he changed his name. In 2006, Magnotta returned to the clinic and had legally changed his name from Eric Newman to Luka Rocco Magnotta. Magnotta said that people were still following him. That's why he changed his name, Tan testified. He complained of erectile dysfunction, which was treated with prescriptions of Viagra and similar drugs, and Magnotta frequently requested to be tested for HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases. Another witness today told the court that Magnotta visited her drop-in clinic just 2 months before 33-year-old Lin was killed, looking for a referral to a local psychiatrist. 33-degree Mason. They always use 33 in the media, don't they? Now, that was from CBC. Here, I'll let you take a look. Look at this. Luka Rocco Magnotta hated his life, wondered why he had been born, and claimed he had often heard directly from Marilyn Monroe. So he's hearing voices from V2K, and they're putting Marilyn Monroe's voice in his head. Canadian Forces Station, Leitrim. Thanks a lot, Leitrim. You have to ask yourself, is Luka Rocco Magnotta 100% responsible for killing that guy if he was being targeted by CFS Leitrim with microwaves and gang stalked? Is he 100% responsible for killing that guy? What responsibility do they play in it? Do they hold any responsibility for using microwave weapons on him, putting voices in his head telling him to kill? Do they hold any responsibility for the death of that Chinese guy? You have to ask that question to yourself. Roy noted that Magnotta expressed concerns about his impending legal case, that jail staff would harm him, and that other inmates were spying on him at the behest of police. In February 2013, Roy noted Magnotta was having trouble sleeping, that he had dreamt he was being chased by Jason, the hockey mask-wearing, machete-wielding lead character from the Friday the 13th movies. Now, they can put dreams in your head while you're sleeping with frequencies, and they definitely do that. Earlier on Monday, a family doctor who saw Magnotta for 6 years in Toronto told the court his patient was convinced in 2005 that he was being stalked and that voices in his head told him he walked like an ape. Stalked, gang stalking, V2K, voice to skull. Most of the time, he was functional, he said. There were times he had mental problems. Tan said he knew Magnotta first as Eric Newman, the accused's birth name. In 2006, he changed his name to Luka Magnotta and told the doctor he did so because he thought he was being followed. So he literally changed his name to Luka Rocco Magnotta because he was being gang stalked and he was trying to hide from them. And oh man, that's something. It says Magnotta faces 4 charges in addition to the premeditated murder of Lin, criminally harassing Prime Minister Stephen Harper and other members of Parliament, mailing obscene and indecent material, committing an indignity to a body, and publishing obscene materials. Now, here's another one from CBC. It says Luka Magnotta felt voices controlling him, forcing him to kill, psychiatrist says. Listen to this. This is very interesting. In her report, Allard recounts how Magnotta said a weird energy came over him, forcing him to cut and stab Lin, who he was convinced was a spy sent from the government. So he felt a weird energy? Yeah, microwave energy. They were using microwave mind control on Luka Magnotta. And this is so clear, it's so obvious as day once you understand all this. Magnotta related over several sessions with the psychiatrist that he'd put an ad on Craigslist for a partner interested in bondage, and Lin had answered. They met at a nearby metro station, and once inside the apartment, Magnotta said he began to feel anxious during intercourse and wanted to slow down. He went to the window and noticed a black car, which he told the psychiatrist he took as a sign he was being spied on. Lin drank some wine, and Magnotta said he shared a couple of his temazepam anti-anxiety pills at Lin's request. Voices like a radio. Magnotta reported something was controlling him. Listen to that. And said he heard voices in his head like a radio, all telling him to do it. He's from the government. So Canadian Forces Station Leitrim were putting voices in Luka Magnotta's head saying, do it, he's from the government. So they were like making him paranoid that Jun Lin was an agent. After cutting the victim's throat, the voices told him to give it back. And Magnotta said he took that as a sign to send body parts to political parties. Are you guys hearing this shit? In his sessions with Allard, Magnotta couldn't explain why he chose to send packages to Vancouver schools, but he said he thinks it's because he and Lin had talked about that city. Magnotta reported he did not remember the specific names he chose or how he found the return addresses, but they simply popped into his head. So he was totally a targeted individual, man. And they were using microwave mind control on him and putting ideas in his head, voices in his head. He said he felt an energy controlling him. Man, he was definitely targeted by microwave energy. That's my thoughts on it. The accused told Allard the sequence of events was scrambled in his head, and he felt confused and scared when he recalled the events of that night. Now, if you ever hear, if anybody out there who's a targeted individual, if you ever hear voices in your head telling you to do anything negative, do not listen to those voices. Okay? Do not respond to any negativity. Only respond to constructive, positive ideas. Nothing negative. Accused said he felt like he was inside another person's body. Posting the edited video showing parts of the crime online was done to scare the voices away, Magnotta said. Man, this is really making sense, all the stuff he's doing. The accused also told the psychiatrist he didn't sleep for more than 36 hours as he threw things out, booked a flight to Paris and ordered a pizza. The days following the killing, as Magnotta moved from Montreal to Paris to Berlin, were dominated by anxiety and confusion, Allard reported he said. When he saw his photo in a newspaper report at the internet cafe, where he was later arrested, he reported feeling like he was blacking out. I felt I was inside another person's body, Magnotta said to Allard. The report concludes Magnotta was in a psychotic state when he committed the crime, and notes that at the time, he hadn't been taking antipsychotic medication for almost 2 years. See, that's what they always do as a cover story for targeted individuals. They say they're crazy or whatever. Delusional, schizophrenic. Listen to this. He visited different hospitals complaining of symptoms associated with his so-called illness, such as hearing voices and feeling people were watching him or stealing his thoughts. Totally targeted individual, man. Listen to this one. This is also from CBC. It says, Luka Magnotta didn't act like a schizophrenic person, psychiatrist said. Of course, because he wasn't. He was targeted by microwaves. It says, Magnotta's activities after killing of Jun Lin required a very high level of organization. The psychiatrist hired by the prosecution to analyze Luka Magnotta's behavior says Magnotta was ultra-organized in the hours and days after he killed Jun Lin. Chamberlain evaluated the behavior differently, pointing out to the court that Barth asked only one question and got a multitude of answers, that Magnotta was hearing voices like a radio and felt watched. 1 month before he killed and dismembered Jun Lin, Luka Magnotta went to the Jewish General Hospital where he told a psychiatrist he couldn't sleep and was feeling impulsive and irritable. He told the psychiatrist he had a history of paranoid schizophrenia. He told the psychiatrist that he often heard voices and he feared what he was being followed. That's from the Montreal Gazette. Here's a quote from Luka Magnotta. All I wanted was one person to care and love me. Montreal police discovered the first of several containers stuffed with Lin Jun's body parts. I thought it was Jun Lin. I think they spelt that backwards. Magnotta had tossed some in the garbage and mailed others across the country. He dumped Lin's head in Angrigan Park. He often went to walk-in clinics feeling confused, helpless, and thought he could not do anything right, the report says. All I wanted was one person to care and love me, Magnotta told Watts. The report details what appears to be a classic tale of a child falling through the cracks. Magnotta was not sent to school until grade 6. He started hearing voices at the age of 17, was treated sporadically for severe mental illness. So Canadian Forces Station Leitrim, they started using V2K on him when he was 17. For what reason? Who knows? Why would they start targeting him? I don't know. Targeting a 17-year-old kid. He played with Barbies and felt like he wanted to be a girl. Once, he says his grandmother told him, "You hold a glass like a faggot." Awkward, shy, withdrawn, and plagued with acne, a young Eric was often picked on by his younger brother, Conrad, who also called him faggot. His sister, Melissa, told Watts. He was obsessed with movie stars like Marilyn Monroe, whose soul, he said, he felt was inside him. It was Magnotta's grandmother, worried about him hearing things, speaking loudly and feeling scared, who first took him to a psychiatrist in about 1999. He often thought the government was following him and that his phone was bugged. Well, he was right. Now that we all know about gang stalking and targeted individuals, a lot of these things are going to pop up now, these past crimes. A lot of these people are going to be seen to be targeted individuals. And as a matter of fact, all those shootings in the United States, most of those people are hearing voices telling them to kill. You can look it up. Get the list of mass shootings in the United States and then punch into the computer the person's name, and after it, put hearing voices. And you're going to see, like, almost all of them are hearing voices telling them to kill, okay? They're all getting V2K'd by the government, and they're creating mass shootings in order to ban guns in the United States. Disarm the people. The day he met up with Lin at the McDonald's next to Snowden Metro and brought him home, he was feeling really weird, and his mind was racing fast. During his meetings with Watts, Magnotta wavered between saying, "Manny," repeatedly phoned him and told Lin to tie up Magnotta and have sex with him, and blaming the voices in his head saying, "Kill him, he's an agent." "I don't remember what was happening," Magnotta told Watts. "It was like a blackout. I remember feeling wet, hearing voices saying, 'Cut it.'" See, they're totally manipulating him with V2K. They're turning people into killers. Manny, he said, kept calling and telling him Lin would be an agent working for the government. Then the voices told him the same thing, and that he should kill Lin. In my head, he was an agent. I was hearing static, being very afraid that he poisoned me, and that is why I was feeling sick. Listen to this. It was like having someone inside of me taking over, like a spirit inside me. At times, my body slowed down, like someone making me walk and talk slow, and then turning my mind slow and speeding up, Magnotta said. So they were microwave controlling him, mind control, MK Ultra mind control, 100%. It was like having someone inside of me taking over, like a spirit inside me. At times, my body slowed down, like someone making me walk and talk slow, and then turning my mind slow and speeding up, Magnotta said. Now, this is from the Toronto Sun. Speaking for the first time since his arrest for the horrific murder and butchering of international student Jun Lin, the former model and two-bit porn actor admits that despite his unsuccessful defense strategy, he's not mentally ill. See, he says he's not mentally ill. It's very annoying. I never wanted anything to do with NCR, not criminally responsible. Here's what he said. I have no mental illness whatsoever. I had to go with it, even though I didn't want to, but my lawyers pressured me into it. I told the doctors I had no mental illness. Even now in prison, I take no medications, but the lawyers said our only chance was to go with an NCR defense. I wish I didn't do it. I wish I testified and told the story my way. Now, this is a quote from Luka Magnotta. At one point, he said, "The lies people tell are what separates me from the rest of society. In other words, he isn't the one that is messed up. It is everyone else." Yeah, people just totally did not understand all the details of this case. There was a lot that was left out, but now it's coming out. It just takes someone like me to be able to go through these reports. I'm a targeted individual, and I understand how they run it. So I see he was a targeted individual. It's as obvious as anything to me. Now, this is from the star.com. It says, German psychiatrist describes killer Luka Magnotta's twisted ramblings. No one in the hospital where the Canadian accused of killing and dismembering a Chinese exchange student was held doubted he had schizophrenia, says Dr. Thomas Barth. Now, targeted individuals in the government, the intelligence agencies, they have psychiatrists on staff who will falsely diagnose TIs as mentally ill. Now, this is from thestar.com. The headline is, Magnotta told psychiatrist he thought Lin was a Canadian government agent. Luka Rocco Magnotta believed Jun Lin was a Canadian government agent sent to kill him the night the Chinese student was eventually slain and dismembered, a psychiatrist testified Tuesday. He says right here, something forced me to do it. Magnotta told Marie-Frédérique Allard, who assessed him for criminal responsibility and gathered the version of events earlier this year. It just gave me this weird energy. Well, that's what it feels like when you're getting hit with directed energy weapons, microwave weapons. MK Ultra mind control with microwaves. Like this whole MK Ultra mind control with microwaves, this knowledge is exploding right now on the internet. Everybody's finding out now. This is no longer a secret. This is wide out in the open. During a sex break, Magnotta thought he saw a black car parked outside his building and became paranoid about a government conspiracy involving Lin. Allard said Magnotta began hearing voices telling him to tie up Lin and to cut it, and to do it. He's from the government. Subsequently, Lin had his throat cut. 6 days earlier, Magnotta had a similar encounter with an unidentified man, but with Lin, something just happened in my brain. Once Lin's body was dismembered, Magnotta said he heard voices telling him to give it back to the government. So Canadian Forces Station Leitrim was telling this guy to mail body parts to the government. There's sick little puppies there at CFS Leitrim. They're guilty of crimes against humanity. The fear of being spied on led to frequent address changes, multiple online profiles, the use of a wig, and various changes of cell phone numbers. So he was trying to get away from this gang stalking. Like, he was doing a lot. Changing his name, wearing wigs, moving a lot, different profiles online. So he was definitely a targeted individual. I have no doubt at all. While Magnotta didn't think he was currently being spied on, he's convinced it happened in his past, he said. Allard said Magnotta was seeking notoriety, but primarily wanted people to believe he was the victim of harassment. Well, he definitely was the victim of harassment. He was a victim of gang stalking. He complained of it years before any of this happened. Okay, now listen to this. He also admitted hiding his so-called schizophrenia symptoms from Montreal doctors a few weeks before Lin's killing, because he was reportedly afraid that revealing them would prevent him from moving to France and start a new life. It was a plan he'd hatched a few weeks earlier, convinced the government was spying on him. So he was planning on fleeing the country before any of this stuff happened because he was being gang stalked. He stayed for 11 days in the hospital, but the medical file described him as anxious, restless, and worried that someone was trying to paralyze him. When you're a targeted individual, they try to do all kinds of things to you. On March 30th, according to medical records, Magnotta said he hated his life and couldn't stand hearing the voices anymore. People are watching me through the windows and are talking about me, he said. Here's something Magnotta said from the Montreal Gazette. I think my friend put some drugs in my drinks, and he handcuffed me and recorded how he and his friends raped me repeatedly, the medical note quotes Magnotta as saying. He said, I am not crazy. Now, this is from CTV News in Montreal. At their first meeting, Magnotta told Barth he was hearing voices, a key symptom of so-called schizophrenia. Magnotta told him he felt like he had a radio in his head. Well, he did. He had microwave V2K in his head, thanks to CFS Litrum. He alleged another ex-boyfriend named Robin forced him to take steroids and tried to poison him. Barth said Magnotta only mentioned he was hearing voices in Germany a day before being admitted to a psychiatric wing. Now, one thing that can't be left out of this story is Jun Lin. Jun Lin was murdered, and he was a completely innocent victim. Now, a question you have to ask yourself is, what percentage of the responsibility for Jun Lin's death could you attribute to the government of Canada, Canadian Forces Station Leitrim, and all those people gang-stalking Luka Magnotta? Is Luka Magnotta 100% responsible for that murder? Or does Canadian Forces Station Leitrim have a part in the guilt? Because they were telling him to kill him with voices in his head, targeting him with microwaves, and gang-stalking him. They were trying to get him to kill somebody. So they definitely are guilty of a crime. Maybe you guys can, leave some comments down below. But, yeah, we got to remember Jun Lin. Regardless of what happened and how Luka Rocco Magnotta was manipulated by the government, Jun Lin's still dead, so, he's the ultimate victim. But you know what? Luka Rocco Magnotta's a victim, too. The government were gang-stalking him and using microwave weapons against him. So, you have to take it all into consideration.